So basically, Elon Musk got funded from his former colleagues, friends, from his current friends, from his SpaceX Tesla employees, from his parents, from his fiance's, or you can say Talula's parents. He even called his parents. Okay, so that's how he funded his Tesla and SpaceX with the help of all the other current and past colleagues by meeting him. Hmm. Okay. I could have said you suck, but I didn't. If I had done that, Founders Fund wouldn't have come through in 2008 and SpaceX would be dead. I'm not into astrology or shit like that, but karma may be real. Crunch time. Musk had jolted his team right after the third attempt flight in August 2008 with his deadline of getting a new rocket to Quas in 6 weeks. That seemed like a Musk reality distortion ploy. It had taken them 12 months between the first and second failed launches and another 17 months between the second and the third. But because the rocket did not need any fundamental design changes to correct the problems that caused the third failure, he calculated that a 6 week deadline was doable and would energize his team. Also, given his rapid cash burn, he had no other choice. SpaceX had components for that fourth rocket in its Los Angeles factory, but shipping it by sea to Quas would take 4 weeks. Tim Buzza, SpaceX launch director, told Musk that the only way to meet his deadline would be to charter a C-17 transport plane from the Air Force. Well, then just do it, Musk replied. That's when Buzza knew that Musk was willing to put all his chips on the table. 20 SpaceX employees rode with the rocket in the hold of the C-17, stepped into jump seats along the wall. The mood was festive. The crazed crew members were about to pull off. They were thought a hardcore miracle. As they flew over the Pacific, a young entrepreneur named Trip Harris pulled out a guitar and started playing. His parents were music professors in Tennessee and he had trained to become a classical musician. But one Christmas he was watching Star Trek and decided that he wanted to be rocket scientist instead. I ended up figuring out how to change my brain from doing music to doing engineering, which was not as much of a transition as he thought. After a year at Purdue, he was scrambling for summer internship, but he kept bombing interviews. He had redesigned himself to working at a local ass hardware when his professor got a call from a friend at SpaceX saying it needed interns. Without waiting for any paperwork, Harris got into his car the next morning, left his girlfriend behind, and drove the Indiana to Los Angeles. As they started to descend for refueling in Hawaii, there was a loud popping sound and another. We are like looking at each other like this seems weird, Harris says. And then we get another bang and we saw the side of the rocket tank crumpling like a coke can. The rapid descent of the plane caused the pressure in the hole to increase and the valves of the tank weren't letting in air fast enough to allow the pressure inside to equalize. There was a mad scramble as the engineers pulled out their rocket knives and began cutting away the shrink wrapping and trying to open the valves. Bull Alton ran to the cockpit to try to stop this descent. Here's this big Turkish guy screaming at the Air Force pilots, who were the whitest Americans you have ever seen, to go back higher. Harris says, astonishingly, they did not dump the rocket or Alton into the ocean. Instead, they agreed to a scant but warned Alton that they had only 30 minutes of fuel. That meant in 10 minutes they would need to start descending again. One of the engineers climbed inside the dark area between the rocket's first and second stage, found the large pressurization line and managed to twist it open, allowing air to rush into the rocket and equalize the pressure as the cargo plane again started to descend. The metal began popping back to close its original shape, but damage had been done. The exterior was dented and one of the slush baffles had been dislodged. They called Musk in Los Angeles to tell him what happened and suggested that they bring the rocket back. All of us standing there could just hear this pause, says Harris. He is silent for a minute. Then he's like, "No, you are going to get it to Quas and fix it there." Harris recalls that when they got to Quas, their first reaction was, "Man, we are doomed." But after a day, the excitement kicked in. We began telling ourselves we were going to make this work. Hmm. uh, Actually, basically, Elon Musk's team has acquired the attitude of Elon Musk. That's all I would say. Buzzer and the chief of rocket structures, Chris Thompson, crystaled up the equipment they needed at SpaceX headquarters, including new baffles to prevent slosh in the tanks, and loaded it into Musk's jet for the trip from Los Angeles to Quas. There they found a hive of engineers scurrying around in the middle of the night working frantically on the stripped rocket as if they were doctors in an emergency room trying to save a patient. After SpaceX's first three failures, Musk had imposed more quality controls and risk reduction procedures. So we were now used to moving a little bit slower, with more documentation and checks. Puzza says. He told Musk that if they followed all these new requirements, it would take 5 weeks to repair the rocket. If they jettisoned the requirements, they could do it in 5 days. Musk made the expected decision. Okay, he said, go as fast as you can. Musk's decision to reverse his orders about quality controls taught Buza two things. Musk could pivot when situations changed, and he was willing to take more risk than anyone. This is something that we had learned, which was that Elon would make a statement, but then time would go on and he would realize, oh no, actually we can do it this other way, Buza says. As he scrambled in the brutal Qua's sun, they were watched by an abnormally large coconut crab that was close to 3 feet long. They named it Elon, and under its gaze, they were able to complete the repairs in the allotted 5 days. It was unlike anything that the bloated companies in the aerospace industry could possibly have imagined. Imagine Buza says. Sometimes his insane deadlines make sense. 4. Times a charm. Finally, this is success. That was frigging awesome, Musk yelled as he walked into the factory floor. He did a little jig in front of cheering employees gathered near the canteen. Fourth time's a charm. As the cheers rose again, he began stuttering a bit more than usual. My mind is kind of frazzled, so it's hard for me to say anything, he murmured. But then he pronounced his vision for the future. This is just the first step of many. We are going to the Falcon 9 to orbit next year, get the Dragon spacecraft going, and take over from the space shuttle. We are going to do a lot of things, even getting to Mars. Despite his tawny appearance, Musk's stomach had been wrenched during the lunch almost to the point of throwing up. Even after the success, he had trouble feeling joy. My cortisol levels, my stress hormones, and the adrenaline, they were just so high that it was hard for me to feel happy. He says there was a sense of relief, like being spared from death, but no joy. I was way too stressed for that. Come on, Elon. Ilovenesa. Ilovenesa. The successful launch saved the future of entrepreneurial space endeavors like Roger Bannister besting the 4-minute mile. SpaceX made people recalibrate their sense of limitation when it came to getting to space, wrote the author Ashley Vance. That led to a major change in the direction for NASA. The impending end of its space shuttle program meant that the US would no longer have any capacity to send crews or cargo to the International Space Station, so the agency announced a competition for a contract to fly cargo missions there. The success of the fourth Falcon 1 flight allowed Musk and Gwynne Shotwell to fly to Houston in late 2008 to meet with NASA and push their case. When they got off his jet, Musk pulled her aside for a chat on the tarmac. NASA is worried that I have to split my time between SpaceX and Tesla, he told her. I kind of need a partner. It was not an idea that came easily to him. He was better at commanding than partnering. Then he made her an offer. Do you want to be president of SpaceX? He would remain the CEO and they would divide responsibilities. I'll focus on engineering, product development, her, he said, and I want you to focus on customer management, human resources, government affairs, and a lot of finance. She accepted right away. I love working with people, and he loves working with hardware and designs, she explains. Wow. On December 22, as if to ring down the curtain on the horrible year of 2008, Musk got a call on his cell phone. NASA spaceflight chief Bill Gerstenmaier, who would later end up at SpaceX, gave him the news. SpaceX was going to be awarded a $1.6 billion contract to make the 12 round trips to the space station. I love NASA, Musk responded. You guys rock. Then he changed his password for his computer login to I love NASA. Okay, so SpaceX have been saved. Now, chapter 31. How he is going to save Tesla. Salzman and Musk had spent the past few months disagreeing on strategy. At one point they got into a shouting match at Tesla's headquarters which could be overheard overheard by employees. Salzman wanted Tesla to become a supplier of battery packs to other car companies such as Chrysler. It would help fund Tesla's growth. Salzman said Musk thought that was nuts. Salzman was trying to insist that we hitch our wagon to a legacy our company. He says, I'm like, that ship is literally sinking. Salesman was upset that Tesla was burning through the deposits made by Roadster customers even though the cars had not been built. People thought they put down a deposit, not an unsecured loan to fund the company. Morally, it was wrong, but Musk was able to get outside counsel to provide an opinion that it was legal. Okay. He was tough on people and needlessly insensitive. That was just part of his DNA. It didn't sit well with me. On one official board call with Kimball listening in, Salzman tried to lay the ground for removing Musk as CEO. I was furious at what these evil fools were trying to do to Elon. Kimball says, I started yelling, no way you are not doing this. You guys are fools. Antonio Gracias was also on the call. Nope, we have got Elon's back, he said. Kimball called his brother, who was able to block a board report. He was in a such trance-like focus that he didn't even get angry. Salzman and his partners insisted that Musk come to their office and details Tesla's capital needs going forward. He was trying to perform open heart surgery and we were trying to make sure that he wasn't putting in the wrong blood type. Salzman says, when you have a one person with inordinate control and that person is under a lot of stress, that's a dicey situation. Musk got angry. We have got to do this right away or we'll miss payroll, he told Salzman. But Salzman insisted that they meet the following week. He also set the time for 7 a.m. further emerging Musk. I am a night owl. I'm like, oh man, this is fucked, he says. Salzman was doing this to me because he is a dickhead. Musk felt that Salzman relished the chance to look him in the eye and say no, which is what happened. Musk can be forgiving, as he showed by his reconciliation with his PayPal partners, but there are a few people who cause him to go ballistic, almost irrationally so. Martin Eberhard is one, and Alan Salzman became another. Musk thought he has intentionally trying to push Tesla into bankruptcy. He is such a Dutch, Musk says. When I say he is a Dutch bag, that is descriptive, not pejorative. Salzman calmly denies Musk's allegations and seems sanguine about his insults. We did not have any scheme to take over the company or force it into bankruptcy. He says that's absurd. Our role is simply to support a company and make sure its capital is spent wisely. Despite Musk's personal attacks on him, he actually expresses some admiration. He has been a singular driving force behind the company and I'll give him credit that it worked out. I doffy my hat. In order in order to get around Salzman's veto on a new equity round, Musk scrambled to restructure the financing so that it did not involve issuing more equity but instead taking on more debt. The make or break conference call came on Christmas Eve, 2 days after SpaceX was awarded its NASA contract. Musk was at Kimball's house in Boulder, Colorado, along with Tallulah Riley. I was on the floor wrapping presents for the kids, and Elon was on the bed on the phone, fanatically trying to sort things out. She calls. Christmas for me is very important, so my priority was to buffer the kids from the situation. I kept saying, it's Christmas, there will be some sort of miracle. And there was. Vantage Point ended up supporting the plan, as did the other investors on the call. Musk broke down in tears. Had it gone the other way, Tesla would have been dead, he says, and maybe too the dream of electric cars for many years. At the time, all of the major US car companies had quit making electric vehicles. Oh my god. So that's how they got the fund for Tesla. $50 million. Daimler agreed to take $50 million equity stake in Tesla. If Daimler had not invested in Tesla at that time, we would have died, Musk says. Oh my god. Baglino and Musk with Franz von Holzhausen, the Model S, Tesla 9, Tesla 2009.